The KeysDAN Show. It's the KeysDAN Show. I need a new theme for the KeysDAN Show. You might learn stuff. You might hear jokes. You never know what you're going to get on the KeysDAN Show. Whoa. Yeah. What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What Studios. And this is my podcast, The KeysDAN Show. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag, What Makes You Famous. It's easy. Tell your story. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, August 11th, 2019. Number 1, Jeffrey Epstein reportedly found dead by suicide in Manhattan jail cell. Jeffrey Epstein, the millionaire financier who was charged with sex trafficking minors, was found dead by suicide on Saturday morning at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. 3 law enforcement officials told ABC News. He reportedly hanged himself. Epstein was being held in the Manhattan jail while awaiting trial after being denied bail following his indictment. Epstein, who has been accused of trafficking minors as young as 14 between 2002 and 2005 in New York and Florida, was previously found in his cell in July, semi-conscious with marks around his neck, from what 2 sources said may have been an attempt to hang himself, while other sources suggested he may have faked or actually been the victim of an attack. The 66-year-old Epstein faced up to 45 years in prison. This is according to ABC News and The Week. Number 2, Trump claims McConnell is on board for intelligent background checks. President Trump on Friday said that we need intelligent background checks in the wake of 2 mass shootings and claimed that Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican of Kentucky, is, quote, totally on board, end quote, for this. Quote, we don't want any guns in the hands of the wrong people. Quote, Trump said, quote, I think that the Republicans are going to be great and lead the charge along with the Democrats, end quote. Trump's comments came after McConnell expressed willingness to consider a bill that would expand background check requirements for purchasing firearms, saying it will be, quote, front and center, end quote, when the Senate comes back into session. Despite Trump's Friday comments, a spokesperson for McConnell told the Washington Post he has not yet endorsed any legislation. This is according to the Washington Post and Politico. Number 3, El Paso shooting suspect reportedly admits to targeting Mexicans in attack. The suspect in the El Paso mass shooting confessed and told authorities he targeted Mexicans in the attack, police say. In an arrest warrant affidavit reported by the Associated Press on Friday, El Paso detective Adrian Garcia said that 21-year-old Patrick Crucius told police officers, quote, I'm the shooter, end quote, after being stopped following the attack, which left 22 people dead and another 24 injured. Garcia also said in the affidavit that Crucius told detectives that he targeted Mexicans. Authorities had previously believed Crucius to have written a racist manifesto prior to the shooting, in which he wrote about a, quote, Hispanic invasion of Texas, end quote. The shooting is currently being treated as a domestic terrorism case. This is according to the Associated Press and the New York Times. Number 4, unsealed Jeffrey Epstein documents accuse other high-profile men of abuse. New documents unsealed on Friday accuse several powerful men of participating in a sex trafficking ring allegedly run by billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. Virginia Roberts Guifer says that she was forced to become a sex slave for Epstein and was also abused by several of Epstein's friends. She says Epstein and his associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, trafficked hundreds of young girls, and she filed a lawsuit against Maxwell in 2017 that was unsealed Friday. The documents show Gifford accused Maxwell of directing her to have sex with former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, Britain's Prince Andrew, financier Glenn Dubin, former Senator George Mitchell, Democrat of Maine, as well as, quote, another prince, end quote, a, quote, foreign president, end quote, and a, quote, well-known prime minister, end quote, among others. Prince Andrew has denied the allegations, as did Dubin, Richardson, and Mitchell. This is according to the Miami Herald and the Daily Beast. Number 5. 5 killed in blast at test site, Russia's nuclear agency says. Russia's state nuclear agency, Rosatom, said in a statement on Saturday that 5 of its staff members were killed on Thursday in northern Russia during the engineering and technical support of isotope power sources on a liquid propulsion system. 3 other staff members reportedly suffered injuries. Severodvinsk, a nearby city, reported a spike in radiation levels on Thursday, but by Friday, the city's statement had disappeared from the internet without an explanation. U.S.-based nuclear experts are reportedly skeptical about the official explanation of the accident and instead suspect the explosion and radiation release resulted from the testing of a nuclear-powered cruise missile. This is according to NBC News and Reuters. Number 6. Fuel tanker explosion kills at least 60 in Tanzania. A fuel tanker explosion on Saturday on the outskirts of the town of Morogoro, Tanzania, has resulted in at least 60 deaths, and at least 70 more people suffered injuries. The tanker burst into flames while people gathered around the vehicle, which had overturned while attempting to avoid a motorbike. To siphon gas from it, witnesses said, quote, the fire was huge and it was challenging to rescue victims, end quote. Daniel Ngogo, a witness, told Reuters, quote, I have seen about 65 to 70 people being rescued because the fire was fast spreading across the accident area, end quote. Ngogo added that not all those witnesses who died were trying to siphon gas, and that the site was a busy place. Tanzania's President John Magufuli offered his condolences to the victims and their families. This is according to Al Jazeera and Reuters. Number 7. Trump defends ICE raids as very good deterrent. President Trump on Friday defended the immigration and customs enforcement raids that took place earlier in the week, which led to the arrests of 680 people in Mississippi. Quote, I want people to know that if they come into the United States illegally, they're going to be brought out, end quote, Trump said. Quote, and this serves as a very good deterrent, end quote. More than 300 of those arrested in the immigration raids were released with notices to appear before immigration judges. ICE conducted 7 raids in 6 cities, targeted agricultural plants. With their parents detained, children had to spend the night in the care of others in the community who rallied to assist them. Reverend Mike O'Brien of Sacred Heart of Jesus Catholic Church in Canton said, quote, the people are all afraid, end quote. This is according to the Associated Press and CNN. Number 8, North Korea reportedly test launches 2 more missiles. North Korea reportedly fired 2 projectiles off its east coast on Saturday, its 5th such launch in recent weeks, including the 2nd this week. South Korea's military believes the projectiles are short-range ballistic missiles, which, if confirmed, would be a breach of 11 United Nations Security Council resolutions. The launches occurred just hours after President Trump said he received a, quote, very beautiful letter, quote, end quote, from North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, which prompted Trump to say he thinks, quote, we will have another meeting, end quote. But the multiple meetings between the two leaders so far have not deterred Kim and North Korea from testing weapons. Analysts believe the recent tests are meant to serve as a retaliation for a U.S.-South Korea joint military drill set to begin on Sunday, as well as leverage in bilateral talks with Washington. This is according to the New York Times and the BBC. Number 9. Protesters fill up airport, march past China's military garrison in Hong Kong. Demonstrators gathered for yet another weekend of pro-democracy, anti-government protests in Hong Kong, as Hong Kong police fired tear gas with reportedly little warning to disperse the crowd in two areas where protests were officially banned. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters reportedly gathered in the city's airport arrivals hall for the second consecutive day, while others marched past the headquarters of China's military garrison in what has been described by organizers as a, quote, family-friendly, end quote, event. Thousands of people, including parents and children, attended that section of the demonstrations, largely avoiding any incendiary slogans in an attempt to prove that the movement in Hong Kong, despite some violent clashes with police, is peaceful. This is according to the Associated Press and the New York Times. Number 10, Ring of Fire, weather pattern to bring heat and thunderstorms to U.S. Much of the southern U.S. is set to be hit with a, quote, ring of fire, end quote, weather pattern that will bring sweltering heat and a chain of thunderstorms through early next week. The, quote, ring of fire is a heat dome that contributes to rain and excess humidity in the summertime. Quote, heat advisories have been issued by the National Weather Service to warn about the dangerously hot conditions from southern plains eastward into parts of Florida and Georgia, end quote, writes the Weather Channel. Much of eastern Texas and most of Louisiana will be under heat advisories, and some heat records will be broken, according to forecasts. The U.S. has had its wettest 12 months on record, and upcoming rains will likely set August along the same path. This is according to the Weather Channel and the Washington Post. That's 10 things you need to know today for Sunday, August 11th, 2019. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to check out my other podcast, What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag WhatMakesYouFamous. This is KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.